Okay, so at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Norcia, our superintendent, and he will give you some updates. Mr.
We're just
Norcia?
fixing. We know that the YouTube audio was off. We were just fixing it. We should be good now. It's on. Okay. So I'm just. All right. So the first thing, we have a couple things I'd like to go over. First, I would like to start by congratulating Milnes for receiving blue ribbon status in Fairlawn. Quite an accomplishment. We talked about this last year, that Milnes was acknowledged to go through the application process. You were picked by the U.S. Department of Education. It's a very prestigious award with an application process, a lot of work that goes into it, as well as analyzing test scores from the school district. We waited a grueling, probably like 8 months or something since we last heard. And then today at 1 o'clock, Secretary of Education announced all of the blue ribbons, and we watched it live stream. Actually, the administrators watched it from Memorial Middle School Media Center. And I know that Ms. Primavera watched it from Milne School with her teachers. It's something to be extremely proud of in Fairlawn. I believe only 7 out of 7 elementary schools in New Jersey received this award out of thousands. So, to be bestowed that honor is just quite an accomplishment. Makes me very proud of Fairlawn, very proud of Ms. Primavera, very proud of Mr. Folco, who retired and handed that torch off to Ms. Primavera. Extremely, extremely rewarding for this district. And kudos to the parents, kudos most of all to the students, and really to the teachers. What an accomplishment, and just a feather in the cap for Fairlawn. Not our first school, not our only school, but makes you very proud today that Milnes has that award. So that's great stuff. Very happy for them. Give them a round of applause on Zoom. The next thing that we have to report out on, which is actually new, is our graduation information for the class of 2020. We accepted a resolution in July about how many students actually graduated from Fairlawn High School, but now the Department of Education is asking us to report out publicly how many students graduated and some data that goes with it. So I have to report out that 372 kids in district graduated. We had 3 students that attend out of district schools that graduated. Number of students who graduated under the substitute competency test process alternative was 43 for language arts and 45 for math. Number of students who graduated under the portfolio appeal process is 0. Number of students receiving state-endorsed high school diplomas as a result of meeting any alternative requirements for graduation as per their IEP was 7 for language arts and 9 for math. Total number of students denied graduation was 0, and number of students denied graduation solely because of failure to pass the high school end of course assessments, substitute competency test, or portfolio appeal process based on the provisions of this chapter was also 0. So those are our numbers of graduates from last year.
Great job.
Moving on. The other thing that we had to report out on is the second bullying period, second harassment, intimidation, bullying period and report from January to June of 2020. 2 times a year at a public meeting, I'm required to report to the Board of Ed all acts of violence, vandalism, and HIB that occurred during the previous reporting period. The information I'm providing to you is from the reporting period of January 2020 through June of 2020. Number of reports of HIB was 17 from January through June, 2 at the high school, 10 between both middle schools, and 5 at the elementary school. Of those 17, 4 were confirmed HIBs and 13 were non-confirmed HIBs. All investigations are closed and were investigated within the time period. The nature of the HIBs range from power and control, any other distinguishing characteristic, ethnicity and race, threatening, and code of conduct. The investigators were principals and school anti-bullying specialists. From that, they come up to Dr. Lacatina, the district anti-bullying coordinator, and then myself as superintendent, and then I report out to the board on a monthly basis. The type and nature of discipline that we imposed is contacting the parents, counseling, student reflection activity, in-school detention, modification of student privileges, meeting with the teacher, out-of-school suspensions, group therapy, therapy, and scheduling and class changes when needed. Training, we provided 7 trainings to the teachers district-wide during that period and 40 programs for students district-wide from January through June. We have character programs in some of our schools to help foster non-HIBs, Flex Fridays, bike safety programs, Salute to Hometown Heroes, character counts, student conflict lessons, kindness committees, mindful minutes, one book, one school, Valentine's for Veterans are just some examples of some programs that we ran in the second half of the school year. So that's my reporting out from January through June.
Thank you, Mr. Marcia. Anything else that you want to add or anything at this time?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Listen, I would be remiss if I did not discuss the reopening of schools in Fairlawn. I want to take this opportunity. This is not, something that we take lightly. I would like to take this opportunity to address the reopening of schools. While we have come to grips with the fact that no matter what decision we make, it's whether it's going to be right, wrong, it's not going to make everybody happy. Everybody has an opinion on it. I completely understand that. It's not an easy decision to please everyone by any means. We are trying to make the right decision for the students of Fairlawn. We are doing our best. While I am happy to hear that so many of you are pleased with the distance learning this year, and we've had a lot of positive feedback of the, for lack of a better word, 8 to 3 live instruction on Zoom as compared to where we were in the spring. I'm really thrilled to hear that, but our ultimate goal is obviously to get our students in the classrooms for in-person learning. Yes, the plan was presented last week. Yes, the plan was tabled. And I understand. And when I said I heard you loud and clear, I heard everybody loud and clear. It wasn't just one side or the other side. I really did. And I heard the concerns. And I have to hear the concerns as superintendent. And I heard you loud and clear that we want more in-person learning. We're happy with the distance learning the way it's going now, but we want our kids in person. We want more synchronous learning. We want less asynchronous learning. I really heard that one loud and clear. So, we are working on that. We are still on target for our October 19th. Let's not forget that October 19th was our target date. We were trying to move it up a little bit earlier to October 5th to get some students in, but it just didn't work out. And we know that there were still a lot of questions that needed to be answered. So we decided to table it at that point. With that being said, the self-contained special ed students are coming in October 5th, 4 days a week, and we're really pleased about that. But I ask for your patience as we put this plan together. And we'll be presenting it to the community within the next week or so. I've read many emails, and I'm just going to be honest, many harsh emails. And I ask for your patience at this point. We remember that one of our fellow board members said to us, I think last month, 2 months ago, whatever, Mr. Spindell, let's be civil. Let's not forget about being civil to one another and being kind. I know that it's not an easy time in the middle of a pandemic by any means, but trust me, your child's best interest is my number one priority. And we are trying to make a decision to return them as safely as possible. We don't have to agree all the time, and I understand that. And as superintendent, I know the buck stops with me. And trust me, you made that abundantly clear this week. I heard the emails and I read the social media posts, and some of them are very harsh. However, now more than ever is when we need to, as a community, rally together. We really do, and support one another in the best interest of our students. Yes, our students, because that's what this is about. So I ask for your patience. I will be sharing a plan with the board. I will be sharing a plan with the community. We will have principals presenting the plan so that they can answer questions. We are working on it tirelessly. Right now, we are working on it, and we will be communicating to you soon. Just a couple updates. Our HVAC program is complete. We are very happy about that. So our HVAC program is complete. Our PPE is in. So, those two things, we could cross them off our list right now. So I thank Brooke and her team for getting that done and working around the clock to get it done. But we are forging ahead, but we should do it in the spirit of partnership. We need to work together, not against each other. People are on edge everywhere in the world right now. It's a tough time. And, we need to work together as a community. With that being said, one more housekeeping. anybody that's watching, and I will send the email out tomorrow to the whole community. You do not have to fill out the remote only survey, 100% survey. I turned it off because it's not fair to fill out the survey at this point. We want to present the plan to you, and you make that decision based off of the new plan that we are going to present to you as the next phasing plan to Fairlawn schools. So once we release that plan, we will release another survey so that you could base your decision off of that. I don't want people that already filled the survey. The results would be too jaded because they based it off of the previous one. So I stopped the survey. And I will send an email out letting everybody know tomorrow, but I will be setting up a new survey based off of the new plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. All right, at this time, we're going to open up the public comments on agenda items. So if there's any comments on agenda items, please send them in. The links are up.
Sorry, let me open it up. My apologies.
We're going to wait a couple minutes.
Do you want to, can I just ask, do you want to just do it on all items at this point, like we did? No, just agenda?
No, I don't. No, I want to follow the script.
No problem.
Can you just answer me if my microphone's working now?
Yes, it's working.
Thank you.
Dawn Ebner. Wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dawn Ebner, there you go. Congratulations to all the retirees. I've had the opportunity to work with some, but not all. But I know each has been dedicated to all of the students. To all the students they had the pleasure to have in their care. Best of luck to all of them in their retirement. There's mixed emotions that I speak specifically about Sandy Hanaran. She is not only a colleague and a friend, but I also consider her to be part of my family. I don't even have the words to express my feelings at this time, but I know that she will greatly be missed by me. The Fairlawn School District will be losing a very dedicated teacher who goes above and beyond with her commitment to her job. I also want to thank her for being a mentor to me throughout my early years in my teaching career. Enjoy your retirement, Sandy. When is the deadline for the new, you know what? I'm going to dump them into a spreadsheet. It's easier to read them that way. When is the deadline for letting parents know what the new in-person plan is? So we are really working around the clock. Our game plan at this point is hopefully by the end of next week, maybe the start of the following week, which could be around like October 5th, I think it was, so that we know that we could give you a solid almost 9 days. But it may even be sooner because we want you to be able to, make a decision on whether or not you're going to opt 100% remote or come into school. So it could be next week towards the end of the week or so, or the start of the following week. Do we have enough stuff to open schools on October 19th? I'm not sure if it's stuff or staff. Either way, we're working through stuff. Yes, we do have enough stuff. If it's PPE, staff, staff, we're working on that right now. We have, there's a motion on the agenda to increase the rate for substitutes, but we are working on that. We have staff requests, obviously, for accommodations. Some of them we're going to be able to meet. Some of them we're going to have to work through, but we are speaking about that all the time. But once we have an idea about who's going to be remote and who's not, it's kind of going to come at the same exact time. But our director of HR is working on that every day. Who is on the reopening committee of stakeholders? Yes, I mentioned that in my letter, and I know that that was a question I had received. So our stakeholders that were on it were made up of every different grade level, every different building. We've had nurses be part of the conversation, our school doctor, elementary teachers, middle school teachers, high school teachers, administrators, Mr. Rosenberg and Ms. Quackenbush were our board member liaisons. So it was made up of many different stakeholders in the community.
There were parents on there too, right?
There were parents and part of the listening sessions, but not part of the creating the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Would you consider presenting a new plan in an open forum live meeting with all the details explained? So the new plan is going to be presented, and there's going to be time for Q&A. If obviously it's difficult now because it's going to have to be through Zoom or our YouTube. We talked about live streaming it through YouTube because we said Zoom, it's going to be restricted by how many people could get on it. So we know that this is going to be a big turnout. And we realized that. So we said that, what's the best way to make sure nobody gets locked out of it? So we were thinking about live streaming it through YouTube so that people can write their questions in and they can be answered that way. Knowing that the proposed plan will not satisfy all parents, a choice should be given to parents to decide. What currently prevents the district from execution of the plan presented in July 2020? There's a lot of variables that prevent that. One of them, to be honest with you, is enrollment numbers. We're looking at that, and that's a moving target at this point because we have people that enrolled in school. We have people who withdrew, who said they were going to enroll as soon as we go back to 5 days a week, and then to socially distance 6 feet away is going to make it very difficult. So the plan from the summer is not thrown out, but we are looking at that plan, and we know our goal is to try to get back to that 4 or 5 days. So that's it's just sometimes you have to take a look at a plan and look at it again and again. And we also have to be cognizant of all the districts that we're watching right now that are closing and who are facing obstacles. And I believe Mawa just maybe closed their 3rd school today. We're seeing East Brunswick with 27 people or 27 staff members or 27 students and staff members who all contracted it. So we're being very cautious. And as I said in my opening statement, your son or daughter, their safety is our #1 priority. So we're not throwing the plan out completely. We're kind of taking the plan we had and building off of that. And even taking some of the plan that we just worked on the last week that we tabled and pulling from that as well, based off of your feedback and what we're hearing.
Hey, Nick, a quick question. Somebody's trying to get on. Where is the links to ask the questions? I'm sorry.
It's on our website.
It's on the website. That's what I said. Okay.
It's on our website.
All right.
This is Donna Rajan. The superintendent has set his goals.
Nick, not to interrupt you. You know what? The questions you're getting at this point are not on the agenda. So we're going to open them up to any questions at this point and get it over all the public comments now. There'll be no more public comments after this because they're not asking questions on the agenda. They're asking questions, which is fine. That's fine. So we'll do the public comments on new business now also.
And I will answer all the questions. Some of them I don't want you to think I'm dismissing, but we're getting ahead of the actual plan. And we want to present the plan and then come back to questions because the questions here, will remote students remain affiliated with their current school? What are the opt-in dates? If you opt in, do you return to your initial placement? Who will be teaching all remote classes? These will all come with the plan. I will tell you that will remote students remain affiliated with their current school? If you're a Milnes student and you're remote, you're Milnes, and if you decide to opt back in, you would go right back. You would go to Milnes. We wouldn't soft border you to Lindcrest or something along that. You would be affiliated with them. Who is teaching it? That is to be determined. We're still working on that, but it also goes by how many students are actually remote. I mean, if you have 40 students who are remote in 4th grade, and a teacher is already teaching 20, they may not be able to. They're not going to have 60 students to teach. If you have somebody teaching 20 and 2 of them are remote, then it may be a different conversation we're having. So it really is dictated by numbers and the plan. Will all remote teachers have precious experience teaching their designated grade level? Yeah, we hope so. Will they be teaching it from in school or home? It depends on the accommodations. It may be a teacher who's teaching it from in school. It may be a teacher who's receiving accommodations and, you know, may have to teach from home. And then there's students who require remote from home. So it may be a good marriage if that is the case. But it's too early to say. This is still the same person. How will the learning grab and go bags be handled? I'm not sure. I would ask you to reach out to your principal. What has been done to the classrooms in Radburn to make the circulation of air safer for students? That was the upgrade to our HVAC program. Brooke, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So we were able to put in the needlepoint bipolar ionization in all of our rooftop units and our unit ventilators that are in every single classroom. What this does is it works by creating a negative charge into the room and refreshing the air every 10 minutes. So what this means is it's fresh air that's automatically brought in from the unit vents because it's the interior air being turned over. It's effective 99.9% against viruses. It also helps with mold and mildew. So it's a really great upgrade to our indoor air quality just in general. This was recommended to us by our architects and our engineers that this is the way to go. There are other options we looked at, UV lighting, different kinds of filters. Where we could upgrade filters into our rooftop units, that was also done. As explained in one of the previous meetings, there's a lot of talk about different MERV filters. However, they don't all work with every kind of unit, and you don't want the unit to not do what it's intended to do, which is to bring in fresh air and heat and cool that space. In any of the areas where we don't have a unit ventilator or a rooftop unit, we've purchased freestanding units. So these are freestanding. It's basically a plug and play unit that has a filtration system that will clean the air.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, Brooke.
So I just want to explain, this is a Google Doc and Google form. So as I'm reading the questions, if I stop, as soon as somebody writes a new question, it shoots up to the top. So I have to keep scrolling back down. So I try to read through the question as quick as possible before it disappears. Flace is saddened to see Rachel Weiss retiring, but we wish her the absolute best in this next chapter. We wish her many happy years to our 2018 Starfish. Yes, we were sad to see her go as well. Kim Scarinella, no address. I don't need anyone coming to my door. I must first say I'm impressed with how the distance learning has taken off thus far. The accountability of the students and live interaction is great. I was wondering if and when the kids return. As I know not everyone, and then scroll up. As I know not everyone will be back at 100% capacity, can the district look into a hybrid schedule where the certain students are in the classroom, the remaining students who are at home can be connected to a class via Zoom and vice versa? Teachers would be teaching live in person to the kids in the class, and the students at home would have same instruction live stream. Back then, Regional did this and has this plan in place, and it's been working. Maybe you can contact your superintendent to see how they're managing and how it was set up. Yes, we are looking at those options in the plan, and I do know Dario, the superintendent in Beckton, so I could reach out to Dario and speak with him. Why did you table the October 15th re-entering? Because there, as I said earlier, there were still questions that needed to be answered. October 5th was never our original date. It was October 19th. We thought that, we were going to try to move it up to try to get some more live instruction. We heard a lot of families talk about the prolonged screen time and how that was concerning them. So we thought if we could get elementary students in sooner, we would. However, we did not want it at the cost of the asynchronous. So we said, you know what? We also know there was a lot of people happy with the live instruction that was happening. And we said, you know what? Let's just pump the brakes right now. October 19th was our original date. Let's come back to it and let's work on a plan that could hopefully get more in-person and synchronous. I'm going into the Excel spreadsheet again because this is just. Are the classrooms equipped with technology to live stream classes to student at home? With these Dell 3190 devices that we have purchased as part of our one-to-one initiative, they do have capability plus many of our other laptops, and we also purchased cameras that attach to your computer. And we are upgrading our bandwidth as well. Can you explain how teachers will be assigned if choosing the 100% remote plan? And why can't it be the same teacher? We're based off of what I had said earlier. It's going to depend on the number of students plus the number of staff that are requesting an accommodation and whether or not that varies or not, or if we have to somehow maybe live stream it or whatever it may be. So we are working on that. If PPE and HVAC are in place, why can't we bring in at least K to 2 half days until the new plan is in? That was exactly what I had explained before about why we pulled that off. The K to 2, bringing them in 2 half days right now means that they would be asynchronous at this point while we're working on a plan. And we know that I say people, but, we looked at it about, would that be a step back because of how happy everybody was with the synchronous work right now. If the HVAC and PPE problems are resolved, why are we not going with the original plan of 4 days? I'm not saying that we're not going to go back to 4 days. We are looking at trying to get the most in-person learning. It may not be the exact plan in July. It may look very similar to it, but we're working on that right now. How about ventilation systems? Brooke answered that. Do you acknowledge there is a difference in needs of elementary, middle, and high school children? Yes, absolutely, 100%. There is a difference between elementary, middle, and high school. And as much as we're working as a group, we're breaking out into elementary, middle, and high, and then we're coming back as a group again. It is my strong belief that there should be no asynchronous learning incorporated into the new plan. Also, any reopening plan should include information on PPE and cleaning procedures. Okay, thank you. Please explain how the HVAC upgrades work if each room has window, air conditioners, and radiator. Okay,
Did we just do that?
Yeah, they all came in. They came in fast and furious. So they.
Oh no, all right, I'm just asking. I'm saying she did touch base on that. I think Brooke did touch base on that. Thank you.
Just making sure.
If that person wants it explained again, I guess Brooke can explain it again.
Yes, you could always email me and I could put you in touch with Brooke.
Cindy, you had a question? Quick question.
I just wanted to ask Nick if he could just please read the names. I know that it's really hard for you to scroll, but I think we should be hearing the names.
Okay. Yeah.
Not the addresses.
Okay. Aldwin Barrett Barreto. First of all, thank you for your hard work and thoughtfulness when it comes to everybody's safety. Why is it that during in-person instruction days, the learning is synchronous in the morning and asynchronous in the afternoon? Right, Dr. Lacatini, do you want to answer that?
Part of it is because we want to make sure that we touch base with the remote students. So the original thought behind that plan was there were students learning asynchronous at home when they were not in the classroom. And we didn't want them to be on their own all day. So therefore, in the afternoon, our classroom teachers were going to touch base with the students that were asynchronous so that they would have some synchronous learning on that particular day. We didn't want children to go without seeing and talking with their teacher on any given day of this.
Right. Tim Ramondo, will the new plan need to be voted on in the October Board of Ed before it is implemented? So that question is up for debate, but Mr. Green and myself spoke about it today or yesterday, and the practice that we're going to do in Fairlawn is we are going to have the board vote on it because we've always had the board vote on these type of plans. So we will have the board vote on it in October, It will not just be, the Department of Education says that the board does not have to vote on it. But, you know, we did decide to have them do it. And many districts are doing it that way as well.
Barbarulo, can I make a suggestion?
Sure, good.
Maybe for future meetings, I think it would be, in my opinion, like a best practice if perhaps the board secretary reads the comments, because it's kind of unfair for the superintendent to have to read the comments and also answer it at the same time. So
Well,
maybe at a future meeting, if we have
We're
some.
going, Mr. Santana, we're going live next month, so that'll be taken care of. And unfortunately, Nick has the link there, so unless the board
If I
secretary
had
did
somebody,
that,
we actually we were going to do that tonight. We were going to see if a couple people volunteered to come into my office and, you know, Zoom from here as well at the meeting, but we knew there was going to be feedback issues and we were going to hear each other echoing. And then we just said, you know what, let's just pump the brakes on it. But yeah, if somebody handed me the questions, it would make it a little bit easier probably.
Yeah.
But I'm trying my best. Alba Morales, this would be the fourth plan you present to the community. How do we know this is the one? Okay. I don't have an answer other than that. We're trying. We're confident that this is going to be the one. We know we have to get this right. We know there's a lot at stake here. We know that we have to get our kids into school. You know, we are working on this, and we know how important this is to get our kids back October 19th. As I said, October 19th is always our date. We're not off track, but you know, as an educator, we're constantly, you know, coming back and learning and you know, building on it. But I am confident that this will be the one. Jennifer Wiley, are you talking to other districts to understand what's working and not working elsewhere? Yes, I am, constantly. Are you aware that Chromebooks do not work well with Zoom? Certain Chromebooks do not work well with Zoom. That is something that we're working on. That is not, believe it or not, that's not a Fairlawn issue. That's a Zoom issue with some of the processors. But we have a workaround right now. Our tech department has been answering calls and trying to troubleshoot as fast as they possibly can. But we are aware of that. We've piloted Google Meet in some classrooms where we saw pockets of kids that were having issues with Zoom to see if it was easier to switch over that way. We've refurbished some of our own laptops to make them Chromebook compatible with Zooms, and we've seen some success with that. So we are constantly troubleshooting to try to rectify that. But yes, we are aware of that, and we're, you know, it's like I said, I'm not making excuses here, but I think Zoom got really big, really fast, and you know, it's been really tough to get them on the phone to answer these questions. Actually, they don't want to talk to you at all. Everything's through email, but we are aware and we are working through that. Alba Morales, are you aware there are not enough hotspots for all the students who need them? We've actually been ordering them as quickly as possible, and they've been coming in and we've been giving them out. We've definitely have a huge increase of hotspots from the spring to hotspots now. In the spring, we probably gave out 5 hotspots for distance learning. Now we've probably given out over 1,000 hotspots or something really high. So we are. I will tell you that, you know, I'm not saying that we do not want to give you a hotspot. However, nothing beats your home Wi-Fi. So if you could tap into your home Wi-Fi, they usually work a lot better than hotspots. Not saying hotspots don't work, but the home Wi-Fi's are really good. Kim's Gangarella, have you looked into this option? When half the class is in person, the other half of the class should be on the computer, I think it says. Yes, we're looking into all options right now. Elvira Grimberg, will the remote plan remain the same, meaning 100% teacher and instructional led? Yeah, so we are looking for the remote plan to look very similar to the classroom and very similar to a live instruction synchronous plan. Jessica Walsh, thank you for continuing to try your best to make a plan to get the kids back to school. Thank you for trying to get the kids. Thank you for continuing to try your best to make a plan to get the kids back to school. I am curious if the new plan will still not involve teachers trying to teach virtually and in person at the same time. I've spoken with many educators who are trying to do this and it is nearly impossible. I strongly feel the children will suffer, not helped by this. Dave and I would like to say that we are one family. We are one family of many that we have spoken to. We have the utmost faith and respect for you and your staff. We appreciate your tireless efforts during these unprecedented and crazy times. You have our support and sympathies considering how difficult this is for everyone. Thank you, Mel. With my son's first grade class has 25 kids. Can you have them 6 feet apart in the classroom? No, 25 kids would not be 6 feet apart in the classroom. Is the plan for Natalie Caldero, is the plan for special ed to be 4 days as of October 5th still remain, or will that change? No, that's still on for
self-contained.
Self-contained special ed, October 5th, 4 days a week. What is the procedure for children with seasonal allergies when in school? I would ask that you speak with the school nurse about that so that you could work with them. When the new proposed plan is announced, is it going to be voted on before October 19th? Yes, we will have to have a special action meeting so that the board can vote on it. And that was Eugene Rosinger. Alba Morales, are you saying that Radburn School has an HVAC system?
I'm sorry, every classroom has either a univentilator in the classroom or it has a rooftop unit. If there's a classroom that doesn't have either one of those items, we're getting the freestanding units for those areas, which are very few and far between. So I hope that explains it.
Thank you.
If it has a window unit, it would still have a univent in the classroom space. And I know Radburn does have univents in all of those classrooms.
Thank you, Brooke. Fan Zhang, can a student switch back to remote if he or she starts in person after 10/19? If so, will the student change teacher too? How about the other way around? Can a student require to switch to in-person if he or she starts as remote? Yeah, so that's on our policy tonight. That was one of the policies being adopted tonight. Is the switch to remote and the switch back. Can a student switch back to remote if he or she starts person? Yes, they can. If so, will the student change the teacher too? That may happen depending on who the remote learning teacher is. It may be different than their own teacher. And then how about the other way around? Can a student require to switch to in-person if he starts as remote? Yes, they can. There's just periods when you can enter and when you can't enter. That's in the policy. We decided as a district that we wanted to have one period every month so that you could enroll, you could jump in on a monthly basis. We thought that was fair. I know other districts picked the marking period. We didn't want to go with a full marking period. We felt like that was too long. So we felt like once a month, like it's probably going to be like the first week of the month, like the first of the month or November 3rd or something along those lines. Will all special ed, this is Lorraine Rubenacker. And I lost the question. Scroll down. Will all special ed self-contained receive plexiglass and extra tables for classrooms? Will you allow for time between the Edison pre-K AM and PM cleaning? As of now, there is no time between, and therefore all parents and kids are there at the same time, no social distancing. Are custodians and teachers trained in proper cleaning and virus precautions, signs to look for what chemicals are being used? What about all the special ed students with health issues? Have classrooms had a deep clean? How will special ed students socialize without touching materials or a one-on-one powers that need to be hands-on? Why are we rushing the special ed students in person when they are our most vulnerable population within the school? So they are... Plexiglass will be, Camille, do you want to answer the plexiglass
Yes. Yes.
PPE part?
So-
Then we'll
so
get back to rushing.
Sure. So thanks to Brooke, we were able to secure for our self-contained students at the elementary level dividers according to different size, depending on, they have like small and then medium and then larger sizes, depending on the size of students. So they are student dividers that can be easily wiped down and given to each student in the classroom. We are looking into our cleaning procedures and our scheduled times so that we could clean in between our AM and PM classes and also at the end of the day. I'm trying to think of all of the items. There were quite a few that were mentioned on there.
Also, the question of rushing back.
Right.
You know what? We did not rush back our special education students. What may seem like that, we actually, we had this conversation in the summer when the governor on June 20 something said that you could have an in-person ESY. And we actually said, we don't believe in exactly what you said. Our students, that some of them are the most vulnerable health immune systems, to put them in the school first then until we were ready with enough PPE and training. So we actually really took our time with bringing our special ed population back. We started with related services first, and now we're moving into self-contained October 5th. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up, Lisa. My concern is the students having snack or lunch in class when weather doesn't allow for outdoor eating. From Winnie Senna.
Yeah, Nick, don't forget to give us the names, please.
Trying. Just want to make sure that's the end of it. There's more. My concern is the students having snack or lunch in class when weather doesn't allow for outdoor eating. What accommodations will provide for those students who cannot eat in the classroom per choice of parent? If it's a lunch, can parents pick up their child? So right now, that'll be coming out of the plan. I asked if you could just be patient with those details. So when you see us roll out the plan, you could ask those questions, as well as speak with the school's principal at that point. Would you consider, Galit Lipke, would you consider having the teachers Zoom and teach in person at the same time? Yes, everything is on the table at this point. Will children with respiratory symptoms be required to be COVID tested if they exhibit symptoms? That would go through the nurse and the Department of Health. If that situation did happen, we would be consulting with the nurse, you as a parent, as well as the Department of Health and our school physician if need be. We live, Sharon McCoe, we live in town. Hold on, let me just get the whole question. We live in town that has many multi-generational homes. Are you afraid that opening schools will cause deaths to grandparents? Sorry, my mouse is not cooperating right now. Will cause deaths to grandparents that may be living with these students. That is always. Also, if you believe it is safe for everyone to go back in person, why are you still having your Board of Ed meetings virtually? Right now, we're not back in person yet until October 5th. So that's why we just recommended at hopefully the next board meeting will be in person in October. I would recommend that we do it at the Memorial Middle School Media Center because it's very big and spacious, and we can probably get 15 feet apart from each other, which would be really nice. And we already have technology working on how to live stream from there. As far as, being worried about elderly people, that's, I think, everybody's concern at this point in New Jersey, in our state, and in the world about who can catch COVID, and it is very real. However, unfortunately, we do have to continue to move on, and we do have to do our best to try to get our students back in person as safely as possible. And I believe why did you table October 15th re-entering from Alba? I answered that one. Alex Raditsky, which of our Board of Ed members have kids who are in Fairlawn schools this year enrolled currently? I'm not really sure that's relevant, or I want to start asking anybody about their kids. Lisa Cohen, if someone opts out of in-person learning, you mentioned that they may not be able to keep their current teacher. Just want to make sure I got that. Someone opts out of in-person learning. You mentioned that they may not be able to keep their current teacher. How does that work in the middle school with the level classes? Will students be able to maintain their level status, or will they need to join a general class? That's exactly what we're working on in our planning stages now. We also understand that at the high school it could be tricky, because if you look at a student who may be taking chemistry or maybe physics or something along those lines, so we're working on that right now with this new plan that we're ready to propose. That last question was from Yana Rickland. This question is from Enrique Yanez. Maintaining children with their current teachers will be important. Can this be prioritized in the next iteration of the plan? Yes, we are doing our best to do that. We agree. If we could keep our students with their teacher, that would be our ultimate goal. Donna Rajan, how will they be cleaning the classroom, bathrooms during the day, especially for the younger kids? Our custodial crew will be making the rounds. In addition, we are hiring additional custodians to help pick up the slack, because there's going to be a lot of cleaning that takes place, as well as our administrators who are going to be running around the building as well, helping out whenever they can. Could you, in detail, walk us through the phases of reopening? Not at this point, because we haven't presented the plan, but we will be happy to explain that when we have the new plan ready to present. And that was Evgeny Rosinger. Sorry if I butcher somebody's name tonight. Elena Makarowski, do you think elementary and middle high school should have different plans? The need of K and high schoolers are very different. They have different needs and schedules with single teacher versus 8 to 9 teachers per day. Yes, we agree. That's exactly why we're looking at elementary, middle, and high school differently. Frank Tulo, the CDC or New Jersey Department of Health has a regional rubric that determines risk and protocols regarding risk in opening schools. What is our current risk factor? Low, moderate, high, or very high? Are we following protocols for our current risk? I believe us in North Jersey, we're at the low end, but I could check again where we are. Pat, you're shaking your head, and Brooke, yeah?
Yes, we are.
L. Millman, do you think parents are not being fair to you and the Board of Ed with complaints about the direction of the learning that was taken by you? I plead the fifth. This comes with, my position as superintendent. It's not an easy job by any means, but this is my job to run the school district. I think, I don't think that we have to be so nasty at times. I think that's something that we could probably work on. There's a way for us to disagree, but to call on somebody to be fired or resignation right away, or some of the harsh things that I saw over the last couple of days, is not the best way to lead by example for our children. It's not easy. We're all on edge. And as many of you know, I've talked about my own family at times. It's, we're all battling the same thing. We are. And, we all want the same thing, I believe. But we could do it in a civil way. And we really can. And I feel like I treat everybody with respect, and I try to answer every question to the best degree possible. So I think it's fair to receive questions. But I think it's fair to receive civil questions. and to disagree in a nice way. Marianne Sahori, are you increasing the minimum qualifications for substitutes if we are increasing the price point? I do not know, Lisa, we're not increasing the minimum qualifications, correct?
No, we are not. The minimum qualifications are still 60 college credits.
And believe it or not, the Department of Education wants to decrease the minimum qualifications to entice more people to become substitutes. New Jersey is one of the most difficult states in the country with their qualifications for substitutes. But that's not us, it's the Department of Education. Heather Guy. If an elementary student opts for the all remote option and as a result switch to a different teacher, will the remote lessons parallel those of current teacher? Additionally, if when they opt back to in-person learning, will the student return to the same class they are currently in? Yes and yes. We wanted to mirror whatever they are teaching in their regular class, and yes, they would return back to their original teacher. In July, you had said that we have room to adequately space all elementary students 6 feet apart. There were presumably enough staff. What changed? Will the new plan be phased to eventually bring all kids back full time? What are the parameters for that? Yeah, no, I had explained that earlier. You know, looking at the numbers and 6 feet apart, we're gonna have to. It's gonna be really tight to use every space in a building humanly possible. But we are looking at that, especially when we all know that enrollment numbers. That was July. August and September, there's usually a surge of students coming into district. And then also there was a high number of kindergarten students who now stayed home or went to daycare or a kindergarten center who are planning on returning again. So we have to keep monitoring those numbers and looking at that. Christine Weinstein. Again, thank you to everyone who has been working tirelessly for our kids. We've been very pleased with the remote learning thus far and commend the teachers at Memorial Middle School for doing such an excellent job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Christine. Lorraine Rubenacker. If special students do not and cannot wear masks, what happens then? What is the protocol if someone is sick? If someone is sick, once again, they'll go through the self-screening process and they'll work with our nurse. We are going to do our best with especially some of our special ed classrooms to have our students wear their masks. We know at times, you know, they may have to pull it off, and it could be for health reasons as well. And if that is the case, we will work with their physician as well. It's not going to be easy. David Tretter, can you explain the thought behind adding independent study blocks to the time to the latest plan? Will the next plan include 5 days of synchronous learning? I think that was the main issue with the plan. Also, was the latest plan intended to be a phase one? If so, why wasn't that clearly stated in the letter to the parents? That's a very fair question. Independent blocks were in the old plan, which was this week's plan, I guess if you wanted to call it. We are looking for more synchronous learning, whether it's in person or at home synchronous. Don't read into that too much that we're going at home. We're looking, but we know synchronous or in person is the direction we're heading towards. And what was the latest plan intended to be phase one? Honestly, the latest plan was probably phase two. Phase one is 100% remote. What we presented this week probably would have been phase two. We're probably going to jump to maybe like phase three, depending if you want to call it that, which is going to be more in person and more synchronous. And then the ultimate goal is always phase four. Our students are back without any restrictions. We think that's going to be the ultimate goal, but it's going to be hard. We talked today, like, do you think they'll ever loosen up to 6 feet? Is it always going to be 6 feet? Will they go to 3 feet? So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now with the 6 feet, and we have to work with what we have. And that's 6 feet recommendation. Rachel Schranz, how are you considering special ed kids who are in self-contained classrooms, but also gen ed? How are you considering them in your opening proposals? Putting all the classes into a half day isn't easy for kids in special ed, and putting the onus on kids on non-school days is too much to rely on kids to do the work on their own. Yes, we are taking that into consideration by all means. We do have kids that, as per their IEP, may have a hybrid schedule where there's part special ed, part gen ed, and where you will follow that IEP and make sure their needs are met. And we are making sure that, with our new plan, that they are not on their own. Enrique Yanez, if a child maintains 100% remote learning, will there be substitute teachers available when a primary teacher is not available? Yes, there will be substitute teachers available. Debbie Oberlander, another district is doing in-person learning full week and alternating with a week of remote learning. So 2 cohorts, each alternating in person and remote 1 full week at a time. Can we do that? That is certainly something that we could look at with the committee. Judy Miller.
Nick, I had a question on that. They're saying full in-person. That means everybody's in the school all at one time?
No, that sounds like it would be half the kids, 50%.
Okay, I'm just saying, I don't know any district can get every kid in the school with 6-foot distance, and I don't see any district.
The only school that, I'm not saying that's not happening, I know that Bergen Tech, I believe, is going to that model because of all the labs that they have there. They're going to do 1 week lab work and then 1 week at home and rotate the students that way. Judy Miller, why are you not leaving the fully remote option as is and not reduce the amount of synchronous teaching, existing schedule that students have adjusted to and is working well for many students? It seems unfair to reduce the amount of synchronous remote learning for those remaining at home as if penalizing those students in this option. We're not saying that we're not. As of right now, everything is as is. And we were saying today, we're so thrilled with the positive feedback that we're hearing about distance learning right now and the live instruction that's happening. And that's kudos to our teachers. So we're not saying that we're not going to follow that. Alba Morales, you changed the plan because the parents complained. What about the people who were happy with the plan? It was not just because the parents complained. It was not. There were still a lot of questions that needed to be answered. And the one thing you don't want to do is rush through this. Yes, the parents complaining weighed in on our decision. But there are a lot of factors that go into this by all means. Debbie Oberlander, other schools have hired night cleaning crews and keeping schools open 5 days a week. Why the need to close school on Wednesdays? We are looking at that as well. Like I said, we're hiring additional custodians. We are looking at the 5 days a week as well as the Wednesdays. Leslie Kreitman, as masks will be required, will the plan you present include an explanation of how teachers will be monitoring proper mask wearing measures? And what happens if and when a student don't keep their mask on? That's, masks are mandatory. There's no questions about it. I mean, they're going to have to wear it. And then if they don't wear it, it may be a conversation with you as the parent, as well as, I don't know, code of conduct, but this is uncharted waters for us. But we are being told by the Department of Education and the governor that masks are required in schools and they have to wear them. So they're going to have to comply with that. Galit Lipke, would you consider having the teachers Zoom and teach in person at the same time? This way, half the class can be in person and half be at home. Put it all together and then just switch to groups. Yes, we are looking at that, Galit. Josie Coleman, if classes are not live streamed for the cohorts, not in the building during in-person teaching, what are the cohorts at home supposed to do during that time? Can you consider live streaming on a full day in person with cohorts taking turns being in the building? Yes, we are working on that with our plan. Stephen Brand, oh God, I love you. Nick, I'm on my way to read the questions. Be there in 5 minutes. That was a good one, Stephen. Kristen Magnata. My son is part of the preschool ed integrated program. They are now starting October 5th, and my son has an illness where he has to be remote learning, and I have no information about what is going to happen. When are we going to have information about the remote learning preschool children? I asked that you reach out to Mr. Petrelli or Mr. Franco, and I also have your name. So I could give it to them so that you guys could probably have a conversation offline. That would be helpful. Sandra Lima Villegas, can you please be clear and transparent and let us know how many parents participated in the opening committee and how they got selected? I felt your last response dismissed this part. No, if that's how it came across, I apologize, but I did not dismiss it. I worked with the PTAs and said, if you could set up several listening forums for any parent that wants to take part in it, of all different grade levels. Parents I don't know as well. I didn't want anybody to think that for 1 second. I cherry-picked parents because I didn't. There was actually a lot of new people I met, which was really nice. But I worked with the PTA Council for putting together listening forums, and I held several of them. Some board members on here sat on them, but I held several of them back in the summer, I believe it was, at that point. Fan Zhang, can we offer only reading, writing, math, and social studies science in person and move the other classes to online in the afternoon so that the teachers don't need to rush and students have enough time to absorb and digest the material in class? So we are looking at the master schedule as our planning about what will be taught in the morning and what will be taught in the afternoon. But it's also tricky because you can't do all those classes in the afternoon because then those teachers won't have anything to do in the morning. So we have to have kind of a balancing act with the schedule. Stephen Brandt, what is the plan for the children with IEPs to have their needs met if school resumed on a half-day schedule? I would ask that you reach out to your case manager and the supervisors, but Camille, do you want to take a shot at that?
Mr. Garcia, can you repeat that one more time? Because I don't know what group besides all of special ed that the question was referring to.
What is the plan for children with IEPs to have their needs met if school resumes on a half-day schedule?
So for right now, we have our self-contained students coming in on a half-day schedule. And if we activate that and increase that moving forward, it would be a half-day schedule as it is right now in person with a break for lunch and then time in the afternoon where they can virtually connect with their assigned classroom teacher for a wrap-up at the end of the day.
Thank you. David Tratner, thank you to Chicken Galore for their support of Friends of Music with their fundraiser Wednesday night. Rachel Schranz, if kids have days off from school in like cohort A and cohort B, where do they have teachers teaching them? How would classes which are one day in middle school get instruction from the teacher to the student? We'll explain that when the new plan comes out. Elena Makarowski, why did you choose to divide cohorts by names? Won't it be uneven? You have to choose cohorts by name at the secondary level to split it. It'll always be somewhat uneven at the secondary level because if you're teaching 8 classes, your kids may, like I said before, somebody may be in chemistry and another student may be in a biology track. So they could always be uneven at the middle school and the high school, but at the elementary level, it usually goes by splitting the class. So the numbers could be balanced. Zilia Medina. We were told that we were going to have asynchronous learning. As of now, there has been none. My first grader is zoomed out by noon. Will there be punitive measures for students that log off and work offline? How will you accommodate younger children that cannot so more than 3 hours Zoom per day? I would ask that you speak with your teacher and your building principal. Students are expected, attendance purposes, to be on learning all day. So if you are having some issues, I would recommend that you speak with your child's teacher and the principal. Ryan Stern. We would like to thank the Warren. So much better. We would like to thank the Warren Point Elementary teachers for a superb job with remote learning. Our kindergartner who cannot read is engaged the entire day, and the well-timed movement and screen breaks are awesome. Both our third grader and kindergarten look forward to Zooming with their class each day, meeting with their classroom and specialist teachers online for lessons, and navigating the technology. Thank you for all that you do and the tireless hours you put in. It's very nice, Ryan. Thank you. Zilia Medina, will teachers be provided with a face shield if they need one? I believe we ordered. Did we order enough, Brooke?
Yeah, we have enough face shields, but I just want to also remind that you still have to wear a mask with the face shield.
Okay. Yelena Rosenblit. Good evening. May I ask you why Fairlawn is not able to adopt Glen Rock or Ridgewood successful practices to bring kids to school? Thanks a lot. Everybody has their own unique challenges as a school district. Glen Rock and Fairlawn is very unique, and so is Ridgewood and Fairlawn. We're very similar in ways, but we're also very different in other ways. I do speak with Dan and Brett a lot about challenges that we all face, but right now their model is different than the model that we're working on. In a Vina, when you issue new reopening plan, could you please be as specific as possible what the proposal is? The plan that was just tabled had majority of the parents guessing what the plan was about, especially when it came to fully remote children. In addition, since you are unavailable and don't respond to parents' emails, can you please ensure that the Board of Ed members fully understand the plan and are able to address parents' questions and concerns? Thank you. I do respond to parents' emails. When there's a campaign for everybody to email Nick as many times as possible. I'm not gonna lie, it's been tough the last couple of days to get back to everybody as well as to work on the plan, but I am doing my best to try to get back to everybody. But I also knew I was gonna address a lot of the questions tonight at the board meeting that were asked in the email. But no, I do try my best.
Nick, I will respond.
Clear as possible with the next plan. Go ahead, Ron.
No, I said, and I respond to the emails as well as Elise did that we got as the board members, as the president. I've been responding to all the emails. So if anybody has any questions, they can always email us and I will respond.
Okay. Kristen Magnotta, can you explain the process for remote special ed preschoolers since they are starting in almost a week and we have no information? Camille, do you want to jump in on remote special ed students?
Sure. So right now we're looking into options depending on our staffing. That could include having a separate teacher, or it could also include some sort of direct stream from the in-person teacher classroom. So we're looking at a combination of both at this point in time.
All right. Keith Kallenbergs. Can specials art music gym be reduced from a schedule so the children can go for a half day and receive additional ed time for the main subjects such as math, ELA, and social studies? Keith, I'm not sure if you're referring about now or the new plan that we're working on, but I will bring that back to the committee and talk to them about that. Eugene Rosinger. What is your plan for flu season? Are flu shots going to be mandatory or voluntary? We'll be following the guidance from the Department of Education and the Department of Health on that one. Suzanne Lucibello. Camille mentioned that the elementary self-contained classes would have plexiglass dividers. What about the middle school self-contained classes?
I'm sorry if I wasn't clear on that. We do have them for our bridges and autism programs at the middle school and high school level.
Just to add to that, that's what Camille was talking about with the sizes of the different desk shields. So we did take into consideration the different age groups and the size of the desk shield. And we do have them all in stock for all of our self-contained special education and some additional for where they go if they're going to go to therapies or other things like that.
Mary Ann Sahori. I'm wondering what type of chemical cleaners will be used to clean and sanitize the schools. Many of the chemicals found in cleaning products create fumes that are irritating and toxic to the lungs. These fumes can cause inflammation and a variety of respiratory symptoms like coughing, sneezing, and shortness of breath, which can mimic COVID-19 symptoms. Has the district considered cleaning products that deliver the maximum level of efficacy at the least level of toxicity?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. We are required by law to only use certain kinds of chemicals that we're allowed to use in a school environment. The chemical that we're using, we can make information available on that. It is the same thing that is used in hospitals. So it's effective in cleaning, but it's also taking into consideration people who have a compromised immune system or breathing issues and that type of thing. This is the same cleaning product, I think, that probably everybody's using in order to be as effective as possible against any kind of viruses.
Thank you. Irina Kaikis. Will rooms be cleaned between each class in the middle and the high school? That is going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie. When you have a couple minutes between each class and to clean every single desk, we're going to practice as best hygiene as we can. We're going to have a lot of hand sanitizers and hand sanitizer stations and places for people to clean and wipe things down. But it is going to be difficult to clean every class in between 2 or 3 minutes or whatever it is between the next students coming in. But they will be cleaned in between cohorts for sure. Alba Morales, what is the protocol when the first COVID case appears in the classroom? Are you going to quarantine the people in that classroom or the whole school? Our protocol is that we're going to work with our nurse and the Department of Health and follow the recommendations of the medical professionals. Zilia Medina, what is the protocol if there is a case at school? Same question. Kristen Magnata, can you please explain the process of how the process is going to be for the remote special ed preschoolers? That was what we just asked. Michael Morrow, do you have any options being considered, including a plan for teachers to live stream their in-person class to those who opt for remote? Everything is on the table at this point. Sandra Lime Villegas, can you please explain the protocol following if there is a COVID positive case in school? Does the school go remote? That's the same question I just answered. Seth Witzner, are you planning on opening before and after care at some point? They are the lifeline to working parents. Yes, we are looking into the before care and after care. We were even, until the October 5th plan got tabled, we were looking into offering before care and after care as well, maybe on a first come, first served basis, because there's only a certain amount of students you can do within 6 feet, but we are looking into that once we open school. Rhonda Harrow, since you mentioned it was a possibility, do we even have sufficient tech in the schools to be able to have the teachers teach live in person while kids are at home? We do feel comfortable where we are right now. I've heard from multiple sources that the teachers are not involved in any of these discussions and that they are finding out the return to school options at the same time as parents. Is that true? No, our teachers are actually very instrumental in the planning process, in the plan that we just rolled out this week that we wound up tabling. We had teachers from all different levels come to that meeting and be part of that meeting and develop that plan. Can you please, now I just want to add to that. When we did meet with our faculty and inform the whole faculty about the plan that the teachers worked on with us, we do then notify the community soon after, because a lot of our faculty are actually parents in town as well. So we want to try to let everybody know around the same time so somebody's not hearing it before somebody else. Carolyn Sturm-Regano, can you please specify what PPE will be provided to the adults working in the schools? Can you please let us know about the protocol in case of positive COVID case at one of the schools? I just went over the positive COVID case, as well as if there are any PPE for the adults working in school. Depends on what position and where you are teaching. It can range from gowns to face masks to face shields. So it really depends on where you are teaching. Alba Morales, what is going to happen to pre-K children who have an IEP and are going to Edison, who are meant to go in the afternoon sessions? How often will they be going in? Not sure I'm understanding that, but they're going to be going in, if it's October 5th, 4 days a week. And once the new plan comes out, it'll determine how long they're going in then. Sorry. Christine Magnata. The parents of preschool age children need to know what is going to be happening just as much as the ones going back in. I know all about how we are going to go back into school in now a week, but what about the ones that want to stay remote? We will get you more information on that. I know that question came up a couple of times. Carolyn Sturm-Reganato. Are you hiring more nurses to be able to respond to the increasing responsibilities school nurses will be faced with once schools reopen? What will the protocol be when children exhibit flu-like, strep-like symptoms? We feel that we are sufficiently staffed with nursing at this moment. If we need to look at that, we will. I mean, I think in these times you could probably always have 1,000 nurses and it would help, but we feel that we are sufficiently staffed. And then the symptoms, we will be going with the nurse. Asako Suzuki. We want to keep our child home 100% safe. However, we are concerned about teachers being changed, especially the AP teachers. It seems there are many parents who have the same concerns. Doesn't it make sense to keep the current model for high school students? Just please be patient as we work out the next plan and present that to the public. Lana Katov. Knowing that the proposed plan will not satisfy all parents, a choice should be given to parents to decide what is best for their families. For some families, in-person will work, while others should be able to continue virtual learning. Yes, that is the beauty of the 100% opt-out option for parents. Alba Morales. How many OG teachers do we have that are trained in the Fairleigh Dickinson 2-year program? Many. We have a lot of teachers that are trained in Orton Gillingham from the Fairleigh program. It's a great program. It's really wonderful, and it helps our students out a lot. I don't have the number off the top of my head right now. Oleg Chagub. Regarding New Jersey schools having to be closed after reopening, the safety of our children is paramount, of course, and precautions must be taken when COVID is found in schools. However, could you clarify that New Jersey state health officials stated that as of yesterday, they have not seen any documented cases of the virus being transmitted within a school or directly through school sports. In all cases, viruses were transmitted at parties or other events. The viewers may be incorrectly infer that the virus was transmitted in the New Jersey schools. From what I said earlier, I was not saying, I did not mean that they got it from in school. I'm just saying the reality is that schools are still shutting down. But yes, I did see the same thing you did, that they are coming from parties and other places and bringing them into school. Not that there hasn't been any evidence that schools have created it. However, we are only still in September and a couple of weeks in, and we are still just being cautious. But right now, no, that's not what I meant by my statement earlier. Just realistic to the fact that it is happening. And I did see one school that closed down. 2 kids went out of state and brought it back, and then that's why the school wound up closing down. So yeah, that's an accurate statement. Kristen Magnato. Can you explain how you're going to be doing a cleaning process with the special ed preschool children with the 2 programs starting one right after another? One, we have time between where we will clean the preschool. I know that some people that keep asking, it's like one person asking many questions. If you want, you can just reach out to your principal, and maybe that would help as well, because I'm just trying to get through these and we're almost at 182 questions. Eugene Rosinger, a small, but I am sure a request I will appreciate when the next plan is announced. Please provide timelines, details, and what considerations are being taken into account if moving phase 2 to 3 to the next phase to the final phase. Keep the people informed. It will be helpful for all to better assess and plan for their independent future. That is our intention by all means. Kathleen Mesh-Echeverria, thank you for not publicly mentioning the names of those willing to ask questions or make comments. Safety first. Lorraine Rubenacker, do you have more tables and desks for the kids for October 5th? Have the custodians been trained, and what are the chemicals they are using? Was a deep clean performed in all our classrooms? Yes, yes, and yes. Alba Morales. What about the students that cannot be in front of the computer for 6.5 hours? What are the options for them? Hopefully they choose in-person learning when we roll out the plan. Pamela Skiana. For elementary students who have food allergies and anaphylactic shock, what will the school do to accommodate them? Will they be nut-free district-wide? We never say that we're nut-free. We say that we're nut tolerant, but I also ask that you work with the school nurse. We did put a committee together last year that was made up of parents and teachers and administrators to look at peanut allergies. However, COVID kind of tabled that, all the work that we put into that, but we do plan on picking it up again. Kristen Magnata, could you please explain the process of remote learning for the preschool special ed children? Once again, I would ask that you speak with Camille DeFranco. Stephen Brandt, if there are children enrolled in distance learning and children who attend in-person school, isn't that a better learning experience for those children in school due to smaller classes? I would think that would be the preference. Tim Ramondo, do you think it's only fair that students and parents know if their teacher will change before making a final decision? Yes. We're going to try to give you as much information as possible for you to make an informed decision. Lorraine Rubenacker. You said not all students and staff are going back at the same time, but in fact, Edison is, correct? No. Edison self-contained programs are going back, but so are Westmoreland self-contained programs and Memorial self-contained programs. Timothy Mursov, can you please rationalize 6 hours of independent study that was proposed for kindergarten grades? Do you believe kindergarten grades kids can do 3 hours of independent study by themselves? Yes or no? We tabled that plan and we're working on a new plan. Keith Kallenbergs, can specials, this was the same question you had asked earlier. Olga Ginsburg, could you consider hosting a separate Zoom or Facebook Live so parents can actively participate in the meeting, share feedback, comment, and ask questions? It'd be great to have it prior to the new plan is voted on by the Board of Ed members. You will have a chance to have your questions answered with the plan when it is presented prior to the board voting on it. Jalissa Warren, I just want to thank Nick and the board for trying their best to address our concerns as well as maintaining the kids and staff safety. In addition, I want to thank Christy Delaglio from Westmoreland. She and the staff at West have been amazing. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the next phase you will put forth. Thank you, Jalissa. With the new in-person plan, will the child's current schedule change? My children are used to their schedule via Zoom, and it is doing pretty good. I'm hoping that in-person will reflect similar to our current remote schedule. I hope so, but that'll come when we are done with the new plan. Are you going to inform parents if there is a case in the school so we can take our kids out? We will be communicating within the confines of the law and in conjunction with the Department of Health. We have to contact them. We have to notify the county superintendent once we are notified of somebody, and then we'll follow the letter of the law to notifying. We do not want to keep anything from anybody in the community by any means, but we just have to make sure we do it the right way. Timothy Murzov, can a new plan include a specific flow chart on what happens if a student or teacher gets infected? How many people will have to isolate for how long? It's hard to evaluate. Before a board votes on a plan, they need to know how effective we can mitigate infection risk. So no, we cannot work together with state and medical professionals as a reactive approach. So there are Department of Health guidelines that give you guidance on if 2 students in a class or 2 students in a school, what you should follow. And I understand, but we do have to work closely with the medical professionals and the Department of Health. Marilyn Morrow, how will speech lessons work when returning to school? Right now, Ms. Kepler is amazing online. How are we keeping kids and speech therapists safe in the building? Will speech continue to be remote via the computer? It could be a combination of both. It may be in person, it may be remote, and it will be working with you as a parent. I know that my son actually received speech online, and it's going great for him as well. At first, I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but it actually is going really well for him. Nicole Welch, when school is back in session, will the district be more lenient on the number of absences allowed for the student during the school year, or is it directed from the state? I think there's going to be more leniency, but we are still waiting for some more information from the Department of Education on that. But it is district by district. Rachel Schranz, do you have plexiglass for the self-contained classroom that are not bridges in autism? These kids are in self-contained for the main subjects. I have one in a class of 8 kids and one in a class of 3 to 5 kids. I don't know if we have, I don't know if we have plexiglass for resource classes, but
we have enough desk shields for various areas as needed or as they come up.
Thank you. Lauren Willis, 6 feet apart student. I thought that was flagged back in July meeting as something that was feasible for a classroom spacing at full capacity or close to full, knowing someone remain remote. Wanted to clarify based on what was just said. Our enrollment numbers we are looking at them since July. A lot has happened since then. Lauren Thomas Morrell, do we have any OG teachers that have been trained in the Fairleigh Dickinson 2-year program? Yes, that's the same question I answered before. We do. Danya Rajan, this sort of Q&A session will be better served by technology like Pigeonhole so the public can upvote relevant questions. So Mr. Norcia doesn't have to go through the same question over and over again, and so the public can see all the questions as well. For remote learning, can you share specifics in depth when you release the plan? Yes, and I am going to look into Pigeonhole because if it makes it easier for me after 183 questions, I'm all in, Danya. Pigeonhole. That's 183 questions.
Are we done?
I think so. Let's see. It's done at this point. Looks like it's done.
Okay, well, we're gonna close it. Thank you, Mr. Lucia. Next month, you won't have to hopefully go through that, reading everything by yourself. All right, at this point, I'm gonna open it up to board comments on the agenda only. Mark?
I wanted to comment on item P as in Paul 6E,
What's the,
increase in subpay.
what page, Mark?
I believe it's page 17.
Thank you.
Without having a discussion with the board on the increase of subpay, vote no on this item. I understand that while some communities like Tom's River, maybe Indian Hills, are paying much more than we are, I really wanted to know what those in our surrounding areas are paying. From what I understand, they're paying close to what we're paying, with maybe a few dollars more. That significant increase from $100 to $175 is going to add thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to our budget, which is already overburdened by the cost of COVID. I suggest what a fellow board member suggested, that we raise it a maximum of $135. And I also suggest that we do it by tiers. So those that are with the minimum number of credits, as was mentioned before, 60, gets paid 100. And as the individual has more accreditation and more credits, that individual is paid a top fee of $135. And again, the recommendation from the Personnel Committee was $175, but I want to make them know that a recommendation is not an acceptance, especially when there's no opportunity for the board to discuss this matter prior to that recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Gene?
I understand what Mr. Spindell is saying, but if we want to have enough substitutes, we have to be competitive. The districts around us, I talked to Nick, we talked to Lisa, they're paying $150 to $200, the surrounding districts, and if we stayed $100 or even went at $135, you're going to get a call from Paramus, you're going to get a call from Ridgewood, you're going to get a call from wherever, and they say, come in for, $175. Fairlawn calls up, says, come in for $135. What are they going to pick? They're going to pick the $175. We've got to stay competitive. I understand it's going to cost a lot of money. I do. But what are we going to do when we can't get substitutes? It's a tough time getting substitutes in regular day. And now we're gonna shoot ourselves in the foot to save, $20,000, $30,000 when we're not going to be able to stay at the classrooms when people either they call in sick or they have a family member that's sick or they take a personal day and we can't tell them not to. So I think that is short-sighted to try and save $40 a day on a substitute, and then we're scrambling. What do we do with these kids now? I think we have to be competitive. We're constantly told, be more like business. And business has to be competitive. And if we want people to come and teach here in substitutes, then it's got to be competitive salary. And with regard to the tiering, that I think that's overly complicated. And at this point, we just got to be staffed. So it was voted on 2-1 in the committee.
I got you, Mike.
And if I think maybe there has to be a little discussion here, that's fine. But I'm 100% behind $175 for the substitutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Mike, got you, Cindy. Mike, you're up.
No, I'm just unmuting myself. I'm sorry.
No problem.
All
I
right.
don't know if you heard.
Yeah, just on the substitute thing, you know, we have to remember, we have to, I'm always a guy that thinks of realities. And the reality of this situation is that retired people that were substitutes are not necessarily going to be substituting in this environment. People that are younger have probably already gotten long-term sub jobs because of all the teachers in other districts that have had COVID problems or have not been able to work or have gone on leave. So a lot of our already short pool of people have probably already been gobbled up as long-term subs to replace teachers in the classroom. So I think I'm a man, again, of reality. I do know it's going to cost a lot of money, but I also know that we've had a sub problem for a long time. And, you know, Ms. Zebner has come in to us numerous times on behalf of the union saying, you know, the teachers are concerned about not having qualified subs. And I think that this is needed. And if I'm not mistaken, it got put out to us as this is a temporary measure to deal with COVID, and that it will be revisited when COVID is over, when the crisis is over. You know, we're living in a different time right now, an uneasy time for everybody, and it will even be uneasier if we can't get subs to replace teachers that have, you know, some teachers might have to self-quarantine for 14 days and stuff like that. So we really need to be prepared for that.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Cindy?
Yeah, I also am in agreement with keeping the proposed rate that's on the agenda. I was in that personnel committee meeting. I'm very cognizant of the fact that we're trying to get our kids back in school, and there are so many facets to be dealt with and so many working wheels. Can the teacher teach remote? Can the teacher teach remote and live at the same time? It's a huge issue, and it's not just cut and dry. There's different scenarios for everything. And I think the last thing that we want to have to say is, you know, we don't have the substitutes to be able to fill the classroom. So we're going to have the class work, you know, on their own. I think that's an unacceptable thing to ask, especially since it's been such an upheaval the last several months about, you know, putting this plan together and the many facets that go with it. So I think that offering a competitive salary, I would agree that that's what we have to do in order to make sure that our classrooms are staffed, because there's going to be issues, you know, that come up in this situation. Schools are going remote all the time because of positive testing, and whether or not it's happening in the school or what is going on in the people's lives that's bringing the positive results into the school. That's really doesn't matter why they're contracting it. It's the fact that now we have to, you know, they have to shut the school down, and I just don't want to see that happen.
Thank you, Cindy. I got you, Vladimir.
Okay, a few things. First, I want to echo congratulations to Mills School for achieving the Blue Ribbon status. I think it is a great achievement. People actually look at it when they look where to live. It's a great news. Secondly, I will abstain on minutes from the August meeting because I was not here. Then, Nick, do you know when the board is expected to vote on the future plan? Approximately.
No, I'm going to speak with you in closed session about that tonight and kind of a plan.
Okay. Nick, thank you for answering so many questions. I think you set a record.
I I don't know if I'm proud of that or not, but thank you.
Nick, again to you. People spoke here about the differences between elementary school, middle school, and high school. I also would like to point out that there are big differences between K through 2 elementary school and 3rd and 4th grade elementary school. Please consider those differences. It is very hard for K through 2 to study remotely. It is less difficult for 3rd and 4th grade. Last question.
On the agenda? Is this on the agenda, Vlad?
Last thing, I think it's on the agenda.
Well, I'm just saying, you're asking questions about plans that are not on the agenda. We're straying away from the agenda, so let's kind of stay on the agenda. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to vote tonight on the amendment to the reopening plan. A question, basically we're just voting on the fact that special ed is coming in earlier and there is nothing else that is changing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. Anybody else or anything on the agenda? Wilkin? Go ahead, Wilkin, I said, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate Mills on being designated National Blue Ribbon School. Congratulations to our students, the parents and administration, definitely the teachers. Without the teachers, this would not have taken place. So congratulations to the entire learning community at Mills. And it is my dream, as I once said before I got on the board, that every school in Fairlawn becomes Blue Ribbon School. As the only member of the personnel committee who did not agree with this increase, I would like to say a few words. $175 is not reasonable. I was not comfortable with a very brief meeting that we have on this and a very brief conversation. I think we have to be willing to have extended conversations within our committees. But I will be making a motion to increase the rate to $135 per day. I think that is reasonable to go from $100 to $135 per day. I did send very specific, one of my questions that I sent to the administration was not fully answered in terms of certain particular districts, how much they pay. But, you know, based on the preponderance of the evidence that I have, that I had available, and based on what I think is best for our district, I agree with Mrs. Spindell, and you know, I don't think it's in the best interest. It's not fiscally responsible to increase a salary from $100 a day to $175. As long as we keep having this mentality of, if we don't pay more, we're gonna lose. We're gonna keep losing money, and we're already in the red, you know? Now, many of you can teach me many things, okay? Because you have a lot of experience.
Mr. Santana, do you have questions, or because
I have a comment.
you're going off on something?
Okay, I'm staying on topic.
Stay on topic, thank you.
When it comes to increasing pay, we cannot have the mentality of, if we don't give the moon and the stars, we're not gonna have anybody available. Because at the end of the day, they go to the highest bidder. Fairlawn has the best to offer. We have many substitutes choose to work here because Fairlawn has a great learning community. Our schools are great, our students are great, the parents are very supportive. We have wonderful PTAs. Just because you throw more money at something, that doesn't mean you're gonna get better results. And to be more like business, it compromises more than just money. It's being more efficient and being more effective. So I will be, I hope the personnel committee will entertain what Mr. Spindell suggested in terms of paying more for higher credentials. But I will be proposing, making a motion during the meeting to increase the pay to 135 a day instead of 175. And I hope we can be fiscally responsible to support that. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Elise.
So, just real quick, if we do 135, depending on how the board wants to vote, and that's not, working because we're still not getting substitutes, we could look at this again like in a month in October, and then, up it like that quickly. But what I wanted to say was, we are not in the red. That's a very bad message that you just stated. We are not in the red. We budget, we spend to our budget. Oftentimes, I'm going to say every year, pretty much since I've been here, we haven't overspent our budget. So we get a little back. Being in the red is owing money that you overspend, like as if we were using credit cards. Having debt service, it doesn't make us in the red, and that's just an important message to have out there.
Thank you, Elise. I have a question for, I guess, Paul or Lisa. Can you do tier pay for substitutes, and how would you actually decide that? Because if somebody has 60 credits, and the other question I have is that I think what's going to be harder, as Cindy stated, with substitutes, they're not just walking into a classroom and taking the classroom over for the day. They might actually have to come in and do half in the classroom, remote to home, remote in the afternoon. So it's going to be a little difficult even with substitutes just in general. So my question is, though, can you do tier pricing like that? I'm not sure. Is that legal, Mr. Green or Lisa?
Yes. Yeah, we're free to set whatever structure we want to set for that.
That's all.
Unless you're talking about a very long-term sub who's here.
No. I'm just talking like day-to-day substitute. But Lisa, do you have anything?
We have tiers now. We do pay daily subs one rate, and we pay our long-term subs actually 135, and it's not all that successful in finding subs for long-term assignments right now either.
Okay. No, I was just asking. I wasn't sure exactly if that can be done and stuff like that. So.
And then just the personnel meeting, and that night, I think this was the only topic we discussed the whole entire meeting. But the reason, and this came out of the county, one of my county meetings with the Department of Education, that the way that everybody's looking at substitutes right now, it's safe to assume, and I know you shouldn't, but any sub that comes our way is probably going to be due to COVID or something similar to that. So they're looking at all subs rather in a tiered way as almost a COVID replacement type substitute. So most people are going to a one flat rate because they don't know if it's going to be 1 week, 2 weeks if it's a quarantine, longer. And it's just everybody's getting really nervous right now with the amount of absences that you may see from this and people having to quarantine until, if they're around somebody that's positive and they may have to stay home even though they may not be sick. So, we were just trying to make ourselves competitive.
Well, I had a few more comments. I just wanted to say is thank you, Nick, and thank you, Lisa and Mr. Green. First of all, I want to congratulate all the people that are retiring. We're losing almost over 104 years of experience in this district. And Ms. Weiss, I know, has been phenomenal, 28 years as a special education teacher. And Ms. Hanrahan has also been outstanding after 34 years. But I want to wish all of them, on behalf of the Board of Education, a very happy and safe retirement. Two, I want to congratulate Milnes. That's a great accomplishment. It's nice to have a second school. Lindcrest was the first one in the district, and as Mr. Santana said, I think it's all of our dreams on the Board of Education and the administration to have every school be it. I will have to say, Mr. Akin, I kind of disagree. I think parents move to this town for the entire district. They don't look at particular schools. I think they just want to come to a good school district, which is very important for this entire thing. But I'm very happy for Milnes, and congratulations to the teachers, staff, parents, and especially the students for working so hard. Other than that, that's all I needed. I just wanted to say, but I want to congratulate the retirees on behalf of the board. Anybody else have anything else on the board agenda? Otherwise, we'll go to the agenda. Yes, Mr. Akin.
Point of order. Should Wilkin make the motion now or later?
For what?
Later.
Later. It goes when we come up with the thing. Anybody else have anything else? Okay. Seeing nobody else, we're going to go right to the agenda. And are you ready, Ms. Barkley? And just so everybody understands that these policies we're voting on tonight, these are state mandated policies due to COVID. And probably when COVID, I don't know whenever there's going to be an official ending that the state will say, but they'll go away. This is just basically all about COVID for all the entire school district, so that everybody in the public understands that. So can I have a motion for G1 and G2?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mike and Elise, can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Franco,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
I abstain on minutes from August 27th on both of them. Yes on everything else.
thank you. Mahan,
I'm abstaining on G1 and yes to G2.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Could I have a motion for S1 to S3?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Mrs. Franco,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, I need a motion for E1 to 3. When you
So moved.
Second.
you're not gonna vote for yourself on, I guess it's E1.
School board.
How do you do that?
I'm gonna make a note in the minutes that everybody's abstaining on their own participation in
Okay.
E1 at the school board's virtual conference.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Banta?
Yes, abstain on myself.
Yep. Mrs. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Itkin?
Yes, abstain on myself.
Mrs. Mahan?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes, abstain on myself.
Mr. Santana?
Yes, abstain on myself.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes, abstain on myself.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes, abstain on myself. Okay, can I have a motion for P1 P1 to P6?
So moved. Second.
I made my motion now.
Yes, you would make a
Yes,
motion
now
to
you
move
make your
now.
motion now, yes.
I would like to respectfully make a motion that the board approves an increase in the daily rate of pay for certificate substitute to $135 per day, effective October 5th, 2020, for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mr. President, if I might just correct the
Yes.
nature of the motion, it's a motion to amend item E to change it from 175 to 135,
Correct, thank you.
what Mr. Santana is doing.
Duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Okay, so we're amending E, that's P6E, from 175 to 135, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr.
Clarify,
Banta.
that's a roll call on the motion to amend.
Yes, that's a roll call on the motion to amend. Got that, Ms. Bartley?
Yes, I put that in the.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you understood that. I wasn't clarified, but I thank you. Okay, so this is on the motion to amend from 175 to 135. Go ahead, grab roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
No.
Mrs. Franco,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan,
No.
Ms. Quackenbush,
No.
Mr. Rosenberg,
No.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
and Mr. Barbarulo.
No.
That was 4 yeses to 5 nos.
Okay.
Motion to amend is not carried.
Motion to amend, so we're gonna stay with the 175. Okay, can I have roll call on the motion P1 to P6?
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Mrs. Franco,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
No on P6E, the one we just discussed. Yes on everything else.
Mrs. Mahan,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
No on P6E. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Spindell,
No on P6E, yes on everything else.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, I need a motion for SE1 to SE3.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Mrs. Franco,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, I need a motion for F1 to F6.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Ms. Franco,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahan,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we're going to open up the board comments to new business. So it was in the agenda, am I correct?
Oh, I thought it was an amendment. Okay.
No, okay. Mark, you had your hand up for new business.
Yes, I just want to, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak about the reopening of schools that the parents had spoken about now probably for an hour and a half or so. I just wanted to say that I respect all the decisions that were made by the countless number of hours that were put in by the administration. I appreciate that, even if they were not widely accepted by the public. But I'm really delighted that the administration was wise enough to sit back, listen to all the voices of the public, and to then make amendments that they felt were necessary. That shows a lot about the administration. I don't want to belabor the point about the 2 days
Cindy.
at home and the 2 days being in school. I did feel that definitely it did not serve the students properly. I didn't feel it was sufficient education. I would hope that the administration is going to look into the hybrid system, as one of the parents had said, and which is working very nicely in Glen Rock, which is 2 to 3 days 3 days instruction, for one group of students in school while it is being Zoomed to those students at home. I don't know if we have enough bandwidth in order to do that. I would hope that the administration looks into this. And while those three-day instruction students 1 week are receiving live instruction, then we alternate the following week with the two cohort, or the second cohort that was not receiving it that first week. I would also like to suggest to the administration that they have input from the public, from the residents, so we don't have a debacle that we had this time. I'm not asking for a tremendous number of individuals from the public, but I think we do deserve, or they deserve, the right to be heard, to give some of their ideas, as well as having the entire board discuss this. And I know some of my fellow trustees may say that this is micromanaging the situation, and I don't feel it is. This is questioning the validity of an idea with accepting additional input. And as we found out tonight, just recommending something does not mean acceptance. There is no longer rubber stamping on everything that is being taken from the administration down to the board. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Cindy?
Yeah, I just wanted to call attention to what was going on in social media the past couple of weeks, or maybe several weeks. It was really difficult to read the vile, threatening, and abusive words of so many, and also receive emails of the same nature. I'm an elected official, so it comes with the territory to be under a microscope. However, it doesn't have to cross a line where you are treated with such disrespect, anger, and abusive words. I'm reminded of the words spoken by a board member that words hurt, and they do. And to see another board member thanking people for doing so was hurtful as well. I have always been honest and open with my emotions. I have read each and every email that came to me, and I'm responding accordingly. I did get many supportive emails, and I know many out there are supportive. This has been a very trying time for everyone in our town. Everyone has different things going on in their life and in their house. We should be considerate and try to come together and work for the good of our town and its students. And I end it simply with saying, remember, words hurt.
I have a few things. I got you, Welcome. One, I attended the Green Team meeting last night. I got you, Mike. I'm on the Open Space Committee, but they've combined that to with the Green Team, and we had a good meeting. I actually had a Zoom meeting at 7, and then I had to jump on that one at 7:30 till about 8:39. And they came up with they're looking at some grants that they want to get involved with the board, the district. There's different varieties of them. I'm going to get more information from Mike, our chairman, and Gail, and then we are also Gail, the councilwoman Gail Rustis. We're going to talk about getting possibly a shared services meeting together to discuss some of this stuff. So I just wanted to bring that up to the fellow board members and the administration. I will be getting more information from them regarding the grants and how we can get involved and do some stuff with the schools. Also, I just wanted to say that, Mark, I understand and I hear what you're saying. I agree that, yeah, the public should have a say. That's all. Administration has worked, and you know what? You're trying to do the best for everything, and I hear about other districts, and I've spoken to a few people in other districts. They're having bumps in the road left and right. They've had COVID cases. They've had to stop. They've had problems with Zoom. They've had problems with Google. They've had problems with Chromebooks. So, we're a different district. You can't compare us to a Group 1 district that has 2,000 kids in it. When we have 5,400 kids, it's different. I agree with Cindy said too. Words hurt. A board member years ago said about us going after people, well, when you're sitting there on social media getting your butt handed to you as a volunteer elected official. It's not fun. And it's not fair to your family either to see that happen to you. But again, there's a way of doing things. If you disagree, we're going to agree to disagree. If you do it with respect. You know what? Just send an email saying, listen, I don't agree with this. I think this is detrimental. That's fine. But threatening the superintendent with the emails that this man got, criticizing what he gets paid and stuff. And I'd love to see some of these people do the job he does 24 hours, 7 days a week. He chose that. He agreed to that. He chose that. But nobody, no human being deserves to be talked to or emailed or anything like that. And like you said, to have some people saying, yeah, thank you and this and that, that's a disgrace, because that's a slap in the face to this district and especially to this board and also to this man. And you know what? Maybe people might not be happy with what I'm saying, but everybody wants to go out to dinner. Everybody wants to go to a concert. They want to go do this stuff. But this is what we're in. And hopefully, sooner than later, we'll get all our children back in school on a regular basis and so on and everything else. Because I have talked to other people in private schools, and they've told me, their kids sit at a desk for 7 hours. They don't even leave the desk except to go to the bathroom. So there's all pros and cons. But hopefully, as a community, entire community, we can come together and we can solve this problem. We get our children back to the best situation for everybody, socially, mentally, and educationally. Thank you. Wilkin, you're up. You gotta unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to ask the community to please continue supporting our teachers. Our teachers are doing magic right now in this new reality. I don't know anyone who got a degree in online teaching. So please continue supporting our teachers. You know, we as parents rely on them for their education, and please do whatever you can to support our teachers. I agree with Mr. Spindell. Our recommendations are that recommendations. We're not a rubber stamp board as far as I'm concerned. I am not rubber stamping any decisions, and I agree with 100% of Mr. Spindell's comment. I do want to thank the community for their protests, for their petitions, for their emails, because they come from a place of caring for their children. I am not going to question the motives of parents who are, very stressed. They don't have someone to care for their kids. They had to arrange babysitting. They had to arrange with grandparents. We have many residents who left everything to come to Fairlawn from New York, from overseas. We have a high overseas population in Fairlawn. So I feel that when we at least try to show empathy, we will make better decisions. But if we want to have this I know it all mentality, it's all going to backfire. I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. But when we listen to the community, people are not going to be against the board. People are going to be for the board when we listen to them, especially the ones that do not agree with us. Also, the board members who may not agree with us. Okay? The board members that don't agree with me, I want to listen to you, because by listening to you, we'll have a better board. And that's what we need to spill down throughout the district. I want to thank the administration and the teachers. And look, I read the same emails every board member got, and I cried reading a lot of those emails. Parents going through everything, and their stress level. So I am very sympathetic to how they feel. And I think we need to listen to the parents, listen to the board, and yes, let's listen to everybody, but not just the people that agree with us, because that is not the right thing to do. Like Mr. Spindell stated, and I will not be supporting going back to school, sending our children to go back to school for 2 days a week. Our children need to go back to school every day. Okay? Our children need to go back to school every day. We need to bring normal. Okay? And I hope the administration superintendent will invite a lot of the parent groups out there, besides the PTO and the PTAs, the other parent groups, invite them, listen to them. Okay? Listen to their concerns. Sit at the table with them. Okay? Because yes, there may be a not proper email sent, but 99% of the 98% of the emails that I read were coming from a good place. All right. So, I would like to see more compassion. I would like to see humility, and I would like to see us listening to one another, not just those who agree with you, but listen to everybody, because we are a reflection of the community. And what's happening out there is happening here. Let's listen to one another and let's treat each other with kindness and respect, even if we do not agree with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike.
All right, I have a couple things. I might, if I go over, Paul, please tell me and I'll come back to me. First of all, Mr. Norcia, thank you for leading this district. This is a rough time for everyone. I read every single email that's been sent to me personally and been sent to the whole board. I've read just about every comment on social media. There is a way, I agree with Cindy, there is a way to get your point across with being civil. It's funny, Mr. Santana, because I was going to use the word empathy tonight too. I heard a very good sermon from a rabbi, a Rosh Hashanah sermon from a rabbi that is a graduate of Fairlawn High School and a member of my class of '83. And his sermon was basically on empathy and being empathetic, especially in this time we're in. The one thing I noticed about the emails that I read was that every single email said something different and had a different plan in mind. So I've said this from the very beginning. COVID-19, first of all, stinks. I want nothing more than for all our students to be back in the classroom. But there's realities. I'm also a man of realities. And there's still a lot of things going on in the world. Whether you believe COVID is still here or not, the state believes COVID is here. There's still cases of COVID in here, 15 in Fairlawn right now. And you have to pay attention to that. I want to thank the teachers because, the teachers got a lot of grief back in the spring, and the board got a lot of grief, and Mr. Norcia got a lot of grief back in the spring because when this pandemic was thrust upon us, they didn't think that we rose to the occasion. Oh my God, I have seen very few negative comments about what's going on. As a matter of fact, some people have even stated that they want the people that were totally against going fully remote, they want to stay fully remote because their kids are getting such a good education. So there's two sides to every coin. A lot of people and the way people get affected by every coin. There was one, I'm going to say it. there was an email that was sent to the board that said if someone commits suicide, it's on the superintendent's hands. We know that there's a mental health problem, and we are in the forefront of mental health in the county, and we even started it earlier than the county. I commend Nick Norcia and Camille on and all of the administration and the mental health staff and the guidance counselors for hopefully dealing with that. And please, if you know of any child that is having a mental health problem, especially because of COVID and the school situation, but any child that has a mental health problem, please notify us.
You got 30 seconds, Mike, just to let you know.
Yeah, please notify us, because you know what? If something happened in this community, I'm going to speak for the 9 of us and the administration. It would be devastating to us. We didn't run for election and go through all this
time, Mike. So I'll come back to you. All right. I'll come back to you.
You got
it. To speak, so I'm allowing Julie to speak. Go ahead, Julie.
Of course.
First and foremost, thank you to our teachers and the parents and grandparents and caregivers and whoever is home with the children that are virtual learning right now. You guys are our front lines, and you deserve to all be commended. Something that Mr. Spindell shared about wanting to have a town hall or an open forum, I'd like to echo that. I think that as educators, as parents, as board members and administration, we work really hard to differentiate instruction and provide individualized education to each student. And parents need that too. We need to differentiate opportunities for us to explore, explain, and share with our community. They need to be heard, and we need to give them a number of venues to be heard and to hear. So it's not just about receiving an email. Let's have a conversation. Let's let them hear it so it's very specific to them. We need to get our kids back in school, but it needs to be safe, and we cannot go backwards. We need to have as much instruction as possible. But in the meantime, kindness and respect need to drive our work and model and show our children how to be strong global citizens. So we need to be respectful and kind to one another. That's how our children learn and grow, and that's how we make strong decisions on behalf of our district.
That's it. Thank you, Julie. Vladimir, I saw your hand.
A couple things. First, Mark, I completely agree with you. You can just sign my name with every word that Mark Spindell stated. I don't want to repeat. That's first. Secondly, for Midland High School, since we designated Wednesday as the cleaning day, please contemplate the idea of having 2 cohorts, one Monday, Tuesday, and the other cohort Thursday, Friday. Then it would make sense to have Wednesday as cleaning day. That's it.
Thank you, Vlad. Go ahead, Mike. Lise. Go ahead, Lise.
Okay, so I wrote down a bunch of notes while people were speaking, and I'm just gonna sort of lay it out there. Ridgewood and Glenrock, both cohorts, both a couple days a week, nobody really full-time, both phasing in. I read all their web pages. I'm sure there's many other districts like that. When people compare us to them, we started off remote. We were going to try to do exactly what they're doing. The town, well, not the town. Let me go down to where I was continuing. This was mostly a Facebook group who was against what we were doing. We all got the same emails. Sometimes as vice president or president, you get a few more. I'm going to guess possibly or potentially Nick got more than us. However, if you counted the emails, I'm going to say 50. I think it was 38. There were 5 or 6 that were very pleasant, not meanly written. I don't mean in that way, but saying, my kid can't wait to go back for 2 days. I can't believe you're not going to, that you're switching. Okay. So let's just say out of those, not really 50, there were 40, which if there's 4,000 families that are sending children to our schools, that's 1%. I am sorry, I am not a firm believer of doing things for the 1%. That's not why I'm in this seat. I want to do things for the majority and how it affects Fairlawn. When I wrote the governor, which I spoke about a while ago, no one on Facebook said, hey, everybody, write the governor. Elise, go send the governor an email. I wrote the governor because I thought I wanted to tell the governor, kind of like what Mark is saying, he wants to tell, he wants to say what he wants to say. It's not micromanaging, it's making suggestions. Okay, I mean, I could buy that, but I chose to do it. I thought it was the correct thing to do, and it was the time that it needed to be done. I was not a sheep being led by someone on Facebook saying, hey, all of my friends, let's write an email to the Board of Education and let's all say this, because that's what we should be saying. I'm sorry, those emails, and some of them really are heartfelt, but the reason those emails are there are because, and I believe and know for a fact, that board members were involved in eliciting this let's send emails to the board. Those emails never would have came if that didn't happen. So Facebook is a powerful tool, and unfortunately for us in this case, in my opinion, it led us to believe that the sentiment out there was not really what the sentiment out there is, because many people were happy, not complacent, because complacency is the enemy, but happy with what they were doing and moseying along in their lives, doing whatever they had to do to make their families work. And we need to facilitate that. And again, I read all those emails, but it's just very disappointing to me that the heartfeltness of some of those emails, which might have been legitimate emails, got mixed up with the morass of the crazy emails. Someone on Facebook accusing Nick of basically causing 3 people that they know to commit suicide or maybe try to commit suicide. You know what? Not that I don't want to hear that, but I have to question where that person is coming from if they know 3 children that tried to commit suicide. That is a red flag to me. I also want to say that someone wrote on Facebook that Nick makes $300,000 a year. And other people, they wrote that. Don't shake your head, Vlad. They wrote that. And it got reposted by other people, okay? I just want to say publicly that that's not correct. And I also want to talk for 1 second, if I have 30 seconds, about the rubber stamping, okay? Mark, I really like you. I don't understand how you got mixed up in the cohort that you're in, that you think we're rubber stamping. What?
You do have 30 seconds.
Rubber stamping, because by being on board with this group that you've gotten yourself into, you're rubber stamping whatever they say. And I've noticed it. I see the grins. I love this Zoom aspect of it, because we can see who's texting. You can see who's sleeping. Someone sent me a picture tonight of someone who was asleep at their computer. I'm just saying, I have never rubber stamped anything in my life. When I vote for something, I vote for it because I think it's what is best for the students and families in our district.
Mr. President, the member's time is up.
Your time's up. Thank you. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to go back to Mike and let Mike speak, because
if Mark didn't speak yet, I don't think so.
Mark spoke. I got everybody. Just to let everybody know, you're coming up on your second time. You have 3 minutes. I'm giving you a heads up. So Mike's going to go first. Mark's going to go next. Then Vlad. Then Wilkin.
All right. First of all, I meant to say before, I agree with Elise wholeheartedly. I'm on this board for the children of this community. Most of my life is about children. Okay, I will not rubber stamp anything that I don't agree with. I ask questions and I get my answers, or I do research myself and I get my answers for the best thing. But I need to read something that I wrote, and you know, I'm appalled at the recent activities by certain members of the Fairlawn community, including a former BOE member, that cast doubts on the ethics of two sitting Fairlawn Board of Education members through attacks on them. And this seems to be happening more and more every election. And some people are Oprahing a lot of stuff to try and put people down. That's not the way to win elections. That's not fair to the electoral process. And it costs the board, you know, everyone talks about taxes. It costs the board a lot of money. They're politically motivated. They're, you know, the information is already in their possession, but then they go and they Oprah it. That takes time out of our business managers and her staff's lives that is sorely needed in this time of COVID. They have gone as far as filing a petition with the Commissioner of Education, casting without any valid claim unfounded, baseless aspirations on the character and conduct of these board members. The only result of the blatant attempt at character assassination has been to what?
1 minute left. Go ahead.
Okay. Has been to cause the board to expend critically needed taxpayer funds on legal costs to defend the frivolous action. These transparent attempts to support their own agenda are reprehensible and should be treated with the contempt they deserve. There are some people that are doing the exact thing. You know, everyone's trying to be fiscally responsible. Well, you know what? It is silly season, and I know what silly season does to people. But you know what? This year is kind of different. Please, candidates, all candidates, including the candidates on this board that sit on this board, you know, run on your own merit. Run on your own merit. You don't have to disparage other people who have spent their lives trying to help people. Thank you.
Got it. Right on time, Mike. Mark.
Yes, I just wanted to respond to Elise's comment. Every time I've run for the board, I've always made it known that I'm beholden to no one, no group, no party, no individual. And tonight when I mentioned that the days of rubber stamping are over, I'm talking to the public, that for me as an individual, that I will never rubber stamp somebody's decision without inspecting it, without having knowledge about it. I'm not talking about the rest of the board rubber stamping. I never mentioned that the board rubber stamps. I'm only referring to me as an individual, that I will never rubber stamp something. So I just wanted to clear that if Elise thought that I was talking about her or about other fellow board members. I was not. It was just to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Vlad.
Elise, when I shook my head, I meant no, not to what people posted on Facebook. I can't watch over the entire Facebook. I don't know what people post. When I shook my head, I meant to say that Nick's salary is significantly less than $300,000, just to clarify.
Thank you. Wilkin.
Again, I'm asking for our fellow board members for kindness, tolerance, and respect towards the views of those of us who do not agree with you. So we should all be doing the same. And again, this is a representation of what's going on. out there. Yes, perhaps like I said, perhaps there was one or maybe two emails that were unkind and over the top, and it sounded like maybe very unfriendly. Okay, but we have to remember the words of Martin Luther King. A riot is the sound of the unheard. We have to stop trying to control people. We have to stop trying to control how people think. A member shakes their head and people all of a sudden think you're being attacked. I remember when a former board member was on this board that, we have people telling that board member, stop shaking your head. So you know what? Maybe it starts with us. Maybe we need to be more polite to one another. And maybe we need to stop worrying, discussing the election. And through the chair, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Rosenberg spoke about something I have no knowledge about, legal issues facing the board. We have not been briefed on anything like that. So this is totally new to us. And it was just brought up and the superintendent and the attorney did not jump in and say anything about that. I'm curious to know what's going on. Like Mr. Spindell stated, I am just like him. I'm beholden to no one. I have voted for the budget and I have voted against the budget. I am an individual on the Board of Ed, okay? And when we say we're not rubber stampers, we're speaking about ourselves as individuals, okay? Every board member here is an individual. But just like some people on the board vote all the time together, there are others that agree also. It's okay to disagree. Can we just agree to disagree? Okay? Let's have more tolerance, okay? And let's have more respect for one another, because elections, for the board member that spoke about elections, okay? They're
say that in a lot of these districts. And by the way, I know Ridgewood has a lot of old schools that are having a lot of problems with ventilation. Okay, they might not have COVID, but they're getting sick. So when people compare to other districts, you can't compare apples to oranges. You can't do that. Okay, and what we have to do is we have to worry about Fairlawn. Can't worry about Paramus, Ridgewood, Glen Rock, Saddlebrook, Elmwood Park. I'm worried about Fairlawn children. That's my concern. That's what I was elected for. Okay, and as you stated, Mr. Santana, I agree with you. I don't owe anybody anything. I don't ask for anything from anybody. I run on my merit. And you know what? I'm here for these children. The number one reason I'm here, as well as everybody else on this board should be, is for these children. End of story. I need a motion to go into at least one more. You got one more time. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think Paul put his hand up, but I just wanted to say that the
Paul
high school, I think the high school has 2 blue ribbons.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. I think we're not translating anymore. The feed is we're not working.
Excuse me?
We're not being shown on YouTube. I think something happened.
Why did they cut it off?
Nick, you unmute yourself, Nick, because you just talked and I didn't hear a word you said.
Yeah, apparently it stopped. The YouTube just stopped about 30 seconds ago or a minute ago, but we're going into closed session now anyway.
Yeah, so it's not a big deal. All right, I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I would take a 3-minute break.
Aye.
All right, 3-minute break and we'll come back. What? You asked a question?
No, I was saying 3 minutes. And do we have another link?
Yeah, I sent it to everybody this morning.
Thank you.
You just text me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.